It's been a while since I made my video discussing what can be expected for future SRB2 updates, and while there's still no sign of a 2.3 release date even a year later, there has been some information released regarding what is and isn't scheduled to be a part of it. Sonic Team Jr. released a blog post for the new year that detailed what went wrong with the infamous 2.2.14 debacle that caused almost everything included in it to be removed from the game. But it also detailed how the 2.2 update cycle is planned to be concluded, as well as confirming exactly what 2.3 is focused on. I'm sure that many of the more hardcore SRB2 players that watch my videos will have already seen this, but seeing as there was so little chatter regarding this blog post that took me a month to find out about it, I can't be so sure that's true of a more casual audience. I'll talk about everything detailed in the post and then give my informed opinion on when 2.3 might finally drop. So let's begin with the reason that it may well have been delayed. .2.2.14 was a disastrous update, breaking a ton of mods and miscrediting assets for the Pipe Towers update. It lasted for about 9 days before 2.2.15 went live and basically reverted the majority of its changes. I never got to play it because it was so short-lived that it went live and then got taken back down again, all while I was on holiday. Sonic Team Jr. attributes the debacle to a lack of QA and internal cohesion, which caused features to release before they were completed and assets to go without proper creator consent. They intend to avoid this happening again with a new set of internal standards, which they hope will ensure that future releases are always of an acceptable level of quality. Considering that the group is apparently pretty tight-lipped in regards to internal affairs, these admissions are an interesting peek behind the curtain. More testing will probably delay future versions slightly, but that's a small price to pay for ensuring that they all work on release. Imagine if 2.3 did drop, only to have significant bugs because not enough time had been allotted to QA. Besides, better communication could partially offset that and will certainly lead to a healthier working environment, so this should be seen as a win for everyone. No one's happy that 2.2.14 went the way it did, but failures like it should be seen as lessons for future success. While we still don't know when 2.3 is releasing, we've known that 2.2 was planned to have at least one more update before moving on. The blog confirmed that that is still the case, with 2.2.16 planned to be the capstone to 2.2, though it won't be quite as expansive as previously planned. What would once have been 2.2.15 was envisioned as the second of a two-part update, bringing more major features to build on what 2.2.14 had started. Obviously, that didn't quite pan out as intended. We never got any confirmation on what this could have included. The blog post announcing that didn't go into detail about what the features were going to be, but when the theory was put into practice, Sonic Team Jr. realised they had bitten off more than they could chew, and so the majority of the unimplemented features have now been pushed back into 2.3. The new version of 2.2.16 will now take a different direction, as it will now centre on the addition of a new zone. We see nothing of the new level in the post, but this is how it's described. It's a level that has actually existed since the final demo days of SRB2, though its unlock conditions were so stringent that there's probably nobody left in the community who's truly experienced it. The final demo was long before my time, so I didn't happen to know what this could be hinting towards off the top of my head, so I did the next best thing and tried to find out by perusing the SRB2 wiki. But no stage of the final demo period seemed to justify such a dramatic description. Red Volcano is the closest anything comes to being overly complex and opaque to unlock, but that seemed like an unlikely choice to me. It wouldn't be a particularly exciting final unlockable when it now actually exists in the game. I ended up turning to Discord servers for help in my search. The response pointed me to an old community joke about a stage called Vibrant Vendetta Zone, which was supposedly unlocked by completing an ever-changing, impossibly complex set of prerequisites. The level didn't actually exist, of course, at least until it was entered into a 2009 OLDC. You can see footage of that level in the background, and to back up this theory further, the question mark image representing this mystery level on the blog post originally had the file name vvz.png. It's an interesting ode to an older aspect of the game, and I'm curious to see how Sonic Team Jr. interprets the concept. The joke died out in 2009 though, and because of how long ago that was, I think the joke will fly over the heads of a lot of players. It'll be interesting to see what the reception is like. And Vibrant Vendetta will have to be outstanding to receive positive reception, because it is replacing Final Demo Zone. This comes just 3 updates after being added to the game, itself being a replacement of Techno Legacy Zone. It was ultimately a mod originally, so you can always go back and re-download it that way, but it is a bit of a baffling decision to announce the removal of a beloved celebration of your game's long history barely a year after it's brought into the vanilla game, especially when you could just keep both. I haven't seen any team members try and justify the decision or even explain why this needs to be the case, and it does seem like a widely unpopular removal. So unless there is a technical reason for it, I can see this being reversed by the update's arrival, and I hope it is. Final Demo Zone is a great museum for a game defined by its long legacy, and while I'm sure Vibrant Vendetta will probably play better, it will be a pretty significant loss. I'd like to see the thought behind it, but from an outsider's perspective, this seems like yet another unforced error on Sonic Team Jr.'s end. So, what did we see of 2.3? Well, it seems that the ambition of the update has been scaled down to focus on 2 key areas: overhauling Egg Rock, and finally releasing Acts 2 and 3 for Red Volcano. Red Volcano Act 1 will see only minor changes because Sonic Team Jr. likes what's currently in place, but it is getting the new Red Volcano skybox as seen in these screenshots. We can also see the new checkpoint model, which gives direction for progression. It's still the same theme, and while Acts 2 and 3 aren't yet in a position for screenshots, they apparently look similar. So I don't think we're looking at a major change like previous concepts had included. It used to be that Act 2 would take place in a snow-filled version of the volcano, which gave rise to Blue Mountain, but that's clearly not the plan anymore. It's good to see these 2 long-awaited levels finally make their way into the game after years of delays, and in my eyes, it'll make SRB2 feature complete. Every zone currently in the game will have all of their intended acts, and any future zones, acts, or updates, which are inevitable, by the way, don't need to worry about that, will just be bonuses for me. Sonic Team Jr. might still be claiming the Dark City and Grand Exit are still planned, but until I see pictures, I'm not convinced. Red Volcano being completed marks the completion of SRB2's intended level structure, and I think that will probably be the case for a lot of players. But don't take me heaping this praise on Red Volcano as disinterest in Egg Rock's overhauls. I don't think anyone truly loves this stage in its current form, so 2.3 will see both acts get major changes. Act 1 will apparently be closely aligned with the original layout, though that is immediately challenged by how it will also move away from an assorted gimmick gauntlet towards expanding on the zone's core mechanics, an assorted gimmick gauntlet being kinda the only thing the zone has going for it. But Act 2 is being remade from scratch. It promises to be more spectacular and more difficult, although some of the most iconic segments of the current layout will reappear. albeit in a new way. The image of the new Act 1 was spectacular enough, but the new Act 2 blows it out of the water. It looks amazing, and I cannot wait to play it. Other stages will see tweaks of varying severity as well, though none are specifically named, and the 2 zones pictured are definitely the main attractions. Beyond those though, 2.3 is going to be a leaner update than I think many had expected. Clips have been circulating for a while of tests of new momentum physics. They were included in my last update video, but this blog post states that, although there will be changes to the physics model, they will not be anywhere near as extreme as these would make them out to be. A later comment on the thread confirms that one of the reasons for the decision is the fact that the team members working on them have left, and without them there to conclude the work that had already commenced, much of it was in too incomplete of a state to sip, and with the loss of knowledge, the current Sonic Team Junior staff can't fix it themselves. I think it's also possible that the team realised that such major changes would have necessitated refitting every level already in the game again to match, and there has to be a point where you stop and decide what's there is good enough before you end up in an eternal sip of Theseus or Ouroboros loop. These tests look great, but there are mods that achieve similar results and custom levels designed to match those. The responsibility of the vanilla devs ultimately is to finish the game, and so keeping something like the current physics is fine if it eventually helps achieve that goal. The final point discussed in the blog post and its subsequent comments is the continued refinement of character movesets. This has been a contentious topic for a long time because most people I talk to already like the movesets we have, and this will do nothing to appease the vocal critics of Sonic Team Junior's previous attempts to modify them. Pretty much the only confirmed change is a universal increase in jump height. Nothing concrete was otherwise said, beyond some vague musings about how Sonic Team Junior works and discusses these topics. It bears repeating that nothing we've seen of any moveset changes are finalised, including the stuff I discussed and showcased in my last video, so we still don't really know what form this will all ultimately take. It's very likely Sonic and Amy will see the greatest changes, because they're the two that Sonic Team Junior have indicated dissatisfaction with most regularly, and I can see Fang getting buffed because he seems to be the least popular within the community, but I find it hard to believe Tails, Knuckles, or Metal Sonic will see anything significant. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not a fan of what attempts have been made in modifying Sonic, at least certainly the ones we've seen, but I'm willing to give the team a chance, especially if the changes to each character allowed them to take advantage of the new physics and level design. With all of that said, when can we actually expect to see version 2.3? I did say I'd give my thoughts on when we might see a drop, and while nothing is given regarding a release date in this post, its mere existence indicates that Sonic Team Junior are at least approaching a state where they feel confident in properly advertising it. We still have to consider that at least 2.2.16 will release before it, if not a few unplanned updates more if another 2.2.14 situation occurs. So I don't think it's realistic to expect anything this year. 2026 may see a few more updates about the update, in a similar vein to this blog post, but seeing as we can barely get minor updates annually, I don't think we can really expect an overhaul of the game while still waiting for 2.2.16, and then not for at least 9 to 10 months after that. I'd hazard a guess that 2.2.16 will release sometime around June, and then I feel fairly confident in placing 2.3 sometime in the second half of 2027 based on that. You know what? I'll pluck a date out of thin air. 13th of August 2027. I think SRB2 V2.3 will release on 13/08/2027. Mark that date in your calendars, and prepare to mock me in the comments of this video if I ended up being early or late. But with that said, thank you all for watching. It's good to see excitement for the new update begin to boil up again, especially when the small amount of it we've seen looks so good. With that said, what do you guys want 2.3 to change? Do you want to see Fang learn to use his gun in the air? How about an update to the main menu? I know I have my hopes for what 2.3 might include. That's going to be a particularly controversial opinion. For now though, I hope you enjoyed the video, and ciao.